There we go. So as I said, welcome everybody, wherever you are in the world. Thank you so much for signing up and for joining us today. We're going to give you an overview of the Float Partner Program and a demo of our product. My name is Ben. I am the Partner Development Rep here at Float, and I am very delighted today to be joined by my colleague Josh. Josh, you want to say hello?
Yeah, hey Ben, how's it going? It's good to be here this afternoon, or this afternoon UK time, and yeah, I would echo your welcome to everybody for joining us this afternoon. Hopefully, it's going to be useful for you. You're going to learn something about Float and about the partner program, and you'll obviously have as well a chance to ask me and Ben any questions you might have as well.
Perfect. Thanks so much for that, Josh. Yes, and as Josh said there, please do make the most of the Q&A box as we go along here. We'll both be monitoring it as we go along, and we'll have a nice Q&A section at the end. So please do fire them in as we go through the presentation today. This is also the first webinar that we're running based on this new structure. So please do forgive me for any hiccups that we have along the way. But yeah, so as why should we forecast our cash? So for as accountants and bookkeepers attending this webinar, we're going to assume that you understand the importance of cash flow forecasting for your clients. So we're not going to spend too long on this topic. But just to summarize, as you all likely well know, having a clear idea of how much cash a business has or will have at any point is a key requirement in running any successful business. In fact, a stat that some of you may not be familiar with is that 81% of businesses that go under do so because of cash flow issues. And a main contributor to this is a lack of visibility. In the past year or so, with the global pandemic and everything else going on in the world, we've heard some stories of businesses making very tough decisions while not having all of the information they need in front of them, cutting crucial costs and making redundancies when they may not necessarily have had to, all because of a lack of visibility into their own finances. Now, you'll likely have experienced their frustrations in the form of questions such as, I want to retain my staff, but I don't know if I can afford to, or when will I run out of cash, or I would love to do X thing, but I just don't know if I can afford it. Managing your cash flow will help yourselves and your clients understand how they can navigate their way out of this incredibly difficult time and answer these key questions. It can provide them with that visibility that's so important to show exactly what the future would look like if they lost a key customer or if they needed to delay paying some bills. And it can also allow them to plan for the future, whether that's paying back the bounce back loans, taking on government support, hiring new employees, or gearing up for growth. And this is where Float comes in as part of your solution. So Float is a granular direct method of cash flow forecasting and managing software that pulls information from your client's accounting package daily, whether they're using QuickBooks Online, Xero, or Free Agents. Most importantly to yourselves, it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to position yourselves as an integral business advisor, move away from compliance and into the advisory space. For those of you who currently offer cash flow forecasts through spreadsheets, it's an opportunity to save time and build efficiencies. It's a chance to have valuable, detailed insights into your client's finances and answer those questions that your client may ask, bringing your expertise and insight to the forefront. Ultimately, this will lead to an increase in revenue as you provide a new or improved valuable service to your clients. I'm sure many of you will have created forecasts and spreadsheets that look a bit like this. If you have, you'll know all too well just how time-consuming and error-prone they can be and how they fall out of date almost immediately. Another big issue with them is that they're just not visual, and it can be very hard to get your head around, especially for your clients who don't have a financial background. In comparison, this is what Float looks like. For your clients, Float is an opportunity to get visibility into their finances like they've never had before, because unlike spreadsheets, Float is extremely visual and intuitive. Float was built for people without financial backgrounds to fully understand their current and future cash position, so your clients will be able to easily get to grips with it too. They'll be able to understand how their business is trending over time and get actionable insights without needing a finance degree to decipher what they're seeing. Float gives you complete visibility into your clients' cash down to the granular daily detail, letting you see cash coming in and going out and expected balances on a daily, weekly, and monthly level. Our live synchronization with your accounting platform means Float keeps itself up to date. And over time, Float will help you become more accurate with your budgeting through our budgets versus actuals reports, as well as giving you visibility into your client's cash flow. You'll also be able to use our scenario tools to provide actionable advice through modeling and the impact of potential decisions your clients might make on their cash flow. But don't just take our word for it. I'd encourage you to check out our reviews that have been left by our customers on the Xero and QuickBooks online marketplaces, as well as Google reviews and trust sites. We're also extremely fortunate to have been presented with numerous awards over the past couple of years, which you can see in front of you just now. So when you sign up for Float, you will all qualify for our partner program as you're all external financial advisors. The benefits to you compared to your business or your clients signing up as direct businesses are a free practice license for yourselves for life to connect to your own practice's accounting software. This is extremely valuable because as well as helping you stay on top of your own cash flow, you can use it to get to grips with Float with numbers that make sense to you whilst never being billed for it. We also give you a free certification to give you a comprehensive overview of the functionality and a certified badge for your website, email signature, or marketing campaigns to let your current clients or new clients know about your new service. You also have an extended trial of 30 days for your clients, which only begins when you add your first one. You benefit from discounted pricing for your clients compared to if they come to us directly through our tiered system. And as you add more clients to Float, as well as additional users and scenarios, unlimited staff logins, and access to your very own partner dashboard where you can see key data at a glance for all of your clients' accounts. You also have a dedicated account manager who's there to support you and provide training for your team and ensure you get the most out of your partnership with Float, and access to invaluable consultations, resources, and to help you package, price, and implement and roll out cash flow support across your firm. We've helped hundreds of other firms build profitable cash flow forecasting services through managed and sustainable growth, and we'd love to help you do the same. I'm just going to hand over to Josh just now. He's going to take us through a demo. So if I stop sharing my screen, Josh, and hand over the power to you, we can have a nice insight as to the functionality that we offer there.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for taking us through that, Ben. Really appreciate it. And if you bear with me, can you see my screen, Ben? And if you can, then I'm guessing everyone else will be able to.
I can, Josh. I hope that means everyone else can too.
Brilliant. Okay. Thanks. Now that you set out, Ben, the opportunity for our partners, but also for their clients through using Float. I want to just sort of put a bit of force behind that and sort of show you exactly what Float looks like and how it does that. So as a Float partner, you'll obviously sign up and have a partner account, and you'll have your partner dashboard. In your partner dashboard is really where you'll manage all of your accounts, all of your clients' accounts that you have on Float. You'll see whether they're a QuickBooks, Xero, or a free agent user. You can add their account here. You can also manage all your accounts. You can manage your users. So if you're giving your clients access to Float, you can do that here. You can also manage your staff users. And what you'll get is a really nice high-level overview of what's going on in all of your clients' accounts here. So that's your partner dashboard, and it's pretty self-explanatory. This is also where you'll connect your firm's account for your free practice license, and you'll have access to that here as well for free. So if I go into my practice account here, which is Josh's Jars of Jello, we love our alliterative names at Float for our demo companies, and this is my ambitious project to start a side hustle with selling Jello to the masses. So what we'll see in Float when you click into it to use with your clients, in the top right corner here, we can see when Float last synced with Xero or QuickBooks or with Free Agent, and Float's going to sync every day with your client's accounting software and pull through invoices, bills, and payments. And that's important because obviously one of the big challenges forecasting spreadsheets is trying to keep everything up to date, but Float will do that for you. Or if you're making changes in your accounting software, you can do a manual sync here as well and pull everything through. So the first steps to building a base forecast in Float, they're highlighted for us to actually handle it on the left-hand side here. The first thing to notice is that these missing cash flow items here. So Float, the first thing to say, Float will take your total reconcile balance from Xero as your starting balance for the forecast. So it's super important that Float is used where your clients are most on top of their bookkeeping, because if their bookkeeping is wildly out and things are not reconciled, they're not going to pull through to Float. Float's not going to know what to do with them. They're not going to be included in your cash flow. So Float works best where your clients are on top of their bookkeeping and we can get as accurate a forecast as possible. If I was to click reconcile here, it's going to bring me into Xero to do that reconciliation. Likewise with QuickBooks, Float will take your total match balance from QuickBooks as well as your starting balance. The other thing to mention here is these invoices and bills. As we can see, Float's pulled them all through for us. And what we can see here is that we have invoices and bills that are past the expected payment date now. That's not a problem because what we can do is we can easily update these. But right now, because they're past the expected payment date, Float doesn't know what to do with them, when these are going to be paid. So Float's going to assume they're going to be paid today, which is probably not going to be the case. But let me just go into update here and into my invoices tab. And what I can see is all of my invoices. I can click into any one of them and see the line items here, for example, see what that invoice is for. And I can see here that this City Limousines one obviously is expected to be paid in March. Hasn't happened. So what I can do is really easily plan and update according to what I know or what my client knows. When are we likely to receive this cash? And it might be that that's next week. So perfect. We can just update that to 7 days from today. Likewise, it might be next month. We're expecting this invoice, for example, or a specific date that we know this is going to get paid then. Perfect. And we can easily update that according to what you or your clients know. Then you have the scenarios where it's more of an if rather than a when. And that might be the case for you guys at the moment or for some of your clients during these tumultuous times we live in. And where you've got the case where an invoice, you just don't know what's happening with it or when it's going to get paid, we can do is just exclude it from the forecast. We can just toggle this and exclude it and say we're going to plan ahead without this right now because we just don't know when this is likely to get paid. So we can exclude that for now and we can always bring it back in at any time. What we can also do is manage all of our invoices in bulk. So I could batch select multiple invoices and set an expected payment date here or include or exclude from my cash flow. I'll just set an expected payment date right now and apply that there. And what we can do is we can do that. And we can also do the same thing with our bills. So if I go into my bills tab, what I can do is it works exactly the same way, just update according to when I'm expecting to pay these bills. So for example, whether it's 7 days from today, next month, or this one, I just don't know. So I'm going to put this off for now. Obviously, super easy to manage and plan according to what we need to pay now or what we're putting off to pay later. So in that way, we're giving Float more information so we can have a more accurate forecast. We can also search and filter for bills. So where we've got lots of bills and invoices, we can search and filter as well. I'm just going to go back to my invoices here and just update these just so that they're all done. Perfect. Great. So once we've done that, we go back to overview. What we can see is we've got 2 green ticks here. We've updated everything we can right now, and Float's pretty happy. Now we can go to our cash flow tab. Now, your cash flow tab is going to be the beating heart of Float. It's really where you'll spend most of your time. You'll get your main forecast. And what we can see here is, first of all, top left, your starting balance for the forecast. Like I said, it's going to be your total reconcile balance in Xero, or your total match balance in QuickBooks. Then we have the cash threshold. This is telling me the date when my cash is going to fall below a certain amount. And that depends on what's important to me or to my client, but it's giving you that visibility on your cash flow. So if we set this to, for example, when do we next dip into the red? When's our cash going to fall below 0? And we can see that that's middle of April. So we might want to prepare for that. We might want to have one eye on that because we know that that's coming up, that there's a bit of a cash gap there. Then we have bank accounts here on the right, and Float pulls through all of our bank accounts and credit cards from Xero. And what we can do is then decide what we include in my cash flow and what we don't. So for example, if I had some savings in here, I didn't want to touch them. I don't want to use them as part of my operational forecast. What I can do is just toggle that account off and not include that in my forecast. Likewise, with any other bank accounts that you might have, we can do exactly the same thing. Perfect. So once I've done that, we'll take a look at my main forecast here. What we've got is Float's pulled through the past 3 months of actuals. You'll actually get up to 6 months of actuals once you've used Float for 3 months. And you'll have a rolling 6 months going forward, as well as up to 3 years into the future. If I scroll along here, we can see it starts to get a bit more tricky for my cash flow going forward. But our forecast here, and if I drag up my cursor along, we can see my expected end of day balance as we go along the days. But my forecast here is going to be made up of those invoices and bills that we managed before, but also budgets that we will set in Float. Now, when I say a budget in Float, I mean a cash budget that we will set, and they will act as placeholders for anything that doesn't yet exist in our accounting software. So where, for example, we know that in May, expenditure for advertising is likely to be X amount, but we don't have any bills to reflect that yet. We would set a budget for that. Likewise, for our income, for the next however long you're looking for your cash flow. We would set budgets for those things. And what would happen is, as our actuals come in through QuickBooks or through Xero or through Free Agent, as our invoices, bills, and payments come in, they're going to fill up those budgets like a bucket. So if we look, for example, in January, in my sales line here, what we can see is that 12,500 there is my total of my budgets. And then the 11,589 are the actual payments that came in through my accounting software. So if I click into here, we can see as I've got a weekly budget here for online sales, and I've got a monthly budget for my retail sales. So my budget's total 12,500. And then these are the actual payments that came in January. So this is what actually came in. You can see it totals 11,589. So that month I was £910 under budget. So in that way, we sort of see how your budgets fill up your actuals. Your actuals fill up your budgets like a bucket. The other important thing to know about budgets in Float is that every budget that you set in Float would be inclusive of tax and then inclusive of VAT. And then if I go down here, for example, into my taxes, what I've got is a budget here in my VAT line. I've got a budget of what I've best estimated my VAT to be for each quarter, and that's a quarterly budget. And what I can then do is pull, for example, a VAT report in my accounting software and keep that updated as the quarter goes on, according to what I'm expecting to pay. So that's budgets and how they work. And then the way to set those budgets, there's two ways to do that in Float. The first way is the spreadsheet input. So for those of you who are already forecasting your cash flow in spreadsheets for your clients, this is going to be super easy for you to do, to bring your budgets in. Spreadsheet input basically allows you to copy in budgets from a spreadsheet, or if you export them from elsewhere into a spreadsheet, you can copy them in. So it works basically just like a spreadsheet here. I can copy my budgets and then I can paste them like so. I can also drag and drop, and I have all the functionality of a spreadsheet here. And what I can also do is I can enter values in here as well and just drag them along. So if you've got straightforward monthly budgeting, spreadsheet input is a super easy way to get your budgets into Float. Or if you've got budgets elsewhere already that you can bring into Float, spreadsheet input is going to be the best way to get those in. The other way to set budgets would be clicking into a cell. So for example, if I go to my advertising and marketing budget, you can see what I've got here is my budgets. I've got a weekly budget for social media, monthly budget for marketing agency spend. If I click create a budget here, I'll get this screen up. And what this allows me to do is to budget on a more granular level. So I can say, okay, we're planning a marketing campaign and we want to budget on a weekly level because we're going to be spending on a weekly level. So I can select how often the budget occurs. It can be on a weekly level. Say exactly when we're expecting the cash out and how long it's going to be. It might be a 6-month or short-term project. It might be we want to keep running this until the end of the cash flow. And then we can choose whether we're going to be fixed or increase or decrease our spend or our income over time. We can also take our last month's actuals or our last 3 months average. So budgeting in this way just gives you a little bit more control. But also it depends what kind of granularity you want. And spreadsheet input's a great way to get your budgets in first, and then you can build on them by creating budgets cell by cell. Otherwise, you can just do budgets like that. Really gives you a lot of flexibility and a lot of freedom there in terms of how you get your budgets in. The other thing to mention just about your chart of accounts here, Float's going to pull through any account from your accounting software that has cash data from the past 3 months initially. But what we can do is we have complete freedom to move this table about. We can create groups like you've seen I've done here for general expenses or for staff. And we can also add in any other accounts by going to manage table layout. We can add in any other account that exists in our accounting software and bring that in and set a budget against it as well. So really easy to customize this according to what's easy for your client to see, what's easy for you to see and to manage. So once we've got our budgets in, we've managed our invoices and bills, and we're on top of our reconciliation, what we'll have is our base forecast here, which should be sort of our most realistic forecast for what the future could look like or likely will look like. And that gives us access to a number of insights. So then we've got, if we go into daily breakdown, what this allows us to see is things on a more granular day by day level. For example, I could look at from now until the end of March, just the next sort of 3 weeks. What's my cash starting and ending available cash? What's going to be in my bank at the end of March? I can get a sort of short-term cash flow for that period. And if I scroll down, I can see exactly what we're expecting to come in and go out day by day, giving me that rundown and giving your clients that insight and visibility into their cash, on a daily level. And then going into in the Insights tab, what I can also see is budget variance. And this is going to be super important over time because what I can see is my budgets versus my actuals, how accurate my budgeting has been over time. And Float's obviously going to show me where my budgeting has been accurate or not so much. And I can then, even click in and drill down right into the account and see how accurate have my budget's been and where can I refine them going forward. So Float helps you and gives you the insights to refine your budgeting over time and get a more accurate forecast as time goes on. So that's your base forecast and the sort of insights and visibility into your cash flow, giving your clients that visibility that they might need onto what's coming in and going out on their cash flow in the next weeks, months, and years. And then once we have your base forecast in Float, what you can then do is build on it with what we call scenarios in Float. And scenarios really deal with the hypotheticals, the what ifs. They allow Float to come into its own sort of as a powerful planning tool for your clients and yourselves to come forward as and give that advice, that powerful advice to your clients in terms of planning, because Float scenarios in Float allow you to look at what the impact of decisions your clients might be making on their cash flow going forward. So we see we're in my base layer right now, but if I were to add a scenario layer here, like I can do, and I won't do that right now because I've got some that I've made earlier. But if we look at my new hires, for example, you can see exactly what the future might look like in a scenario where I hire new staff. What impact will hiring salespeople have on my cash flow? You can see that my scenario is orange. And if I go down to my table now, my cursor is orange, and any changes that I make in my table here are only going to be made in my scenario. They're not going to be pulled back to my base. And I can see that the cells where I'm modeling things here are highlighted orange. So that's super helpful. I can see exactly where I've made changes. So if I click into my sales and I see exactly what the changes are, what I've modeled here is the impact of hiring new salespeople and obviously increasing my sales. Here are my budgets in my base scenario. Here are my budgets in this scenario where I hire new salespeople. What I've done is forecasted increased sales based on having new salespeople. But obviously, there's also going to be a cost to that. So if I go down, for example, in my staff costs, you can see as well the changes in my salaries line. And what I've done is I've reflected the new hires on top of my existing salaries that are going out each month. So I've added my budget. We're expecting obviously to be paying our new hires. So I've budgeted for that as well as the impact they might have on my actual sales. And that's what we're modeling here in our scenario. And this is a very basic example, obviously, and there's a lot more complexities we can go into in terms of what we can model in Float. Our new hires might have impacts in a lot of other areas. But what this really allows you to do, and what I'm trying to get across here, is just how Float can be powerful in helping you yourself and your clients to plan and to see the impact of decisions they might have to make or they might be looking to make, and look at that against what would happen in the base case, and make better decisions, make more well-informed decisions going forward. And you can see as well, I've got one for a retail shutdown, and we can see sort of an inverse impact on our cash flow for if, for example, there was a shutdown and we had to close my retail stores. And you can see in my sales line, what I've done is I've forecasted, excluded my retail store budget and say we're not expecting any retail sales, and we're showing what that impact is there. So that's scenarios in Float, and hopefully that's really a useful overview for you. And that's pretty much everything there is to do in Float in a nutshell. Just to recap, what we're going to get in Float is your base forecast, which gives you sort of visibility into your clients' daily cash flow, daily, weekly, monthly cash flow. They can see better visibility into what's coming in and going out. And then scenarios as a planning tool to help them plan for the future and make better, more well-informed decisions. We also have a support chat box here in Float, and what you can do is start a conversation with our lovely support team and they're really great and really responsive, and they'll always get back to you pretty timely as well with any answers to any questions you might have while you're using Float. So that's pretty much an overview of Float in a nutshell. I'm going to now pass you back over to Ben, and he's going to obviously correct me if there's anything that I have not covered or missed here. Otherwise, please feel free to drop a question in the Q&A box as well, and we will cover those at the end. Thanks, Ben. Is there anything that I've missed that we can go back through while I'm still on the screen?
No, Josh, everything looks great there. Thank you so much for that that demo, that overview of Float, of the functionality. Hopefully, you guys, the attendees, can envision yourselves and your clients using Float together. We've got a couple of questions in the Q&A box, and we're just going to get to that momentarily. But we're just going to talk next steps with you guys. So what we would encourage you to do is sign up for a partner account. If you go to floatapp.com/accountants and bookkeepers, what you can get is just sign up for an accountant or a partner account with us, and that will enable you to add your free practice license and start a 30-day free trial with your clients whenever you're ready. I would also encourage you all to book in a call with myself. We can talk through your individual goals, what it is you would like to achieve with this new service, this new tool, and outline some steps to help you do so. Click to the next slide. Yes, so we're just going to go through the questions just now. So I think, as I said, there was a couple just there. Josh, shall we take them through together?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a question from Jean or Jean. Jean, who says, so it's best that they're reconciled weekly rather than monthly. And the answer to that is, I would say that monthly is probably, you're still going to be able to get a good forecast from Float, but in an ideal world, you would use it where clients are reconciling. Sort of weekly would be the ideal, but I don't think it's going to, you're still going to get a good forecast from Float if you're reconciling monthly. But I would say any less frequently than that, probably you wouldn't get as accurate a forecast. Would you sort of agree with that, Ben?
Yeah, I would agree. I don't think there's any harm in doing it monthly, but I wouldn't recommend doing it any less frequently than that. But as you say, the more up to date it is, the more accurate it's going to be, as you said, Josh.
Yeah, it very much is about what you put in, the information you put in, and the quality of that is going to impact the quality of what you get out from Float. Hopefully that answers your question. Please let us know if that doesn't. Yeah, you said I guess you can do the forecasting once a month. You absolutely could do. If you want the sort of if you're bothered about the daily view and forecasting on a daily level, you probably want to be using Float a little bit more frequently than that. But you absolutely could use Float once a month and log in and maintain things that way. Absolutely. And then we've got another question from Anonymous, who says, can you enter budgets as variables of income instead of a set dollar amount? For example, social media spend will be 20% of income. I think this goes back to link budgets, meaning are we able to link one cell to another and say what we input in one cell we want to be a percentage of another, or relate to what the value of another cell. Ben, I don't know if you want to take that one.
Yeah, unfortunately, it is not something that we currently have the functionality for in Float, but it is definitely something that both Josh and I are pushing for. The more voices that we can get behind that, the better, and we're absolutely going to feed that back to the team right now. But yeah, Josh, this is something that the two of us tend to come across fairly regularly, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that generally, I don't believe, and I say I'm really speaking very generally here, but I wouldn't say it's something that makes Float that really impacts and makes Float unusable for people. I'd say generally it works pretty well the way that budgeting and Float is set up. But yeah, in an ideal world, we would be able to do that and to handle budgeting where one style is a percentage of another or is related to another. And it is very much functionality we're looking into and looking to develop. It's just quite complex to build that into Float, and it's something that might take a little while, but it is, I would assure you, as Ben said, something that we are looking into.
Perfect. Thanks so much for that, Josh, and the clarification there. Is there anything else coming through the Q&A box for now? No.
I think that's pretty much everything, but obviously if there's anything else, guys, we've got a couple more minutes, and Ben and I can obviously hang around if there's anything else you guys need, but feel free to drop a question in the Q&A box. I think, Ben, you're just going to give us a quick recap.
yeah, just going to quickly run through again, just highlight the benefits of the partner program for you if you decide to go through and sign up. So again, you get your free practice license for life, your free certification, a nice wee badge to proudly present to your clients on your signature, your website, your marketing campaigns, an extended free trial for your clients up to 30 days after you add your first client. You benefit from our discounted pricing structure. You get a dedicated account manager and access to our invaluable growth resources to help you grow, scale, and price your services across your firm. And again, just the next steps that I would suggest to you there if you just want to sign up and book a call with myself at ben.nixon@floatapp.com. Would absolutely love to speak with you all.
Brilliant. We've had no other questions coming through, Ben. So I think that's maybe us off the hook. Hopefully hopefully this has been useful for you all who have been attending. Hopefully you've taken something out of this. And please, as Ben says, feel free to shoot him an email and to set the ball rolling. Ben will be more than happy to jump on a call with you, and we love to work closely with our partners. We see the Float Partner Program very much as a partnership, working together to help you guys to implement Float across your firm. So always happy to chat. But thanks so much for joining us, everyone. And yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up for today, Ben.
Fantastic. Again, thanks so much, everybody, for joining. Josh, thank you so much for being on with me as well. It's great to have you and your infinite wisdom there. But yeah, we'll look forward to speaking with you all whenever you all sign up for your partner accounts with us.
Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. Take care and have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Ben.
Bye, everyone.